We are outside of TBS Comics in Pensacola, Florida. This is the shop that runs some events every once in a while, so it's going to be great. It's only a couple miles from our house, so super excited. Going to meet the Pensacola Pokemon crew and see what we can do. See if we can, take what we've learned from the other ones and enjoy ourselves. Amazing shop, lots of options. You name it, I feel like they have it all. Love coming to places and seeing new shops. Should be a ton of fun. Man, they just have everything. Tons of comics. I know a lot of people come for the comics, which is awesome. So let's see what we can do. Faced off against Maridon, very great player in Matthew. He's a local. He's been playing the game for a long time. We talked a lot afterwards. He took it down, slow start, just had to start at Palkia, and then he escape roped the Pidgey that I had on the bench after using Artisan, and he just stayed ahead. We got to Radiant Greninja the next turn, and I wasn't sure if that was the right play, but I took out his Flaffy and Mareep to slow him down. But we're 0-1. Gonna keep going. It's fun meeting a bunch of new people and seeing the scene here in Pensacola is awesome. So hopefully just gonna keep learning and make the most of it. Got the win in round 2. On to round 3. We played a Tinkatonk deck, just got ahead and kind of cleaned up the game. So hopefully this one goes similar and we get another win. We took down round 3. We played against Lost Box Kyogre. Had a really, really strong late game Iono. One of the best cards I can have in that matchup to really kind of make sure their deck stays thick, because if they get to the bottom of their deck and they can go for a big Kyogre play, we lose. So it was intense, felt good. They took out our Pidgey, so we didn't even get to use our Pidgeot, which is totally fine. Great game, super nice guy, and we're on to the final round. Hopefully we can get a win and finish the tournament in a good place. It's been super, super fun and meeting a lot of great people, and I'm hoping to make some great connections here in the Pensacola area to keep playing more Pokemon. We won our last round. We beat Gardevoir. They were the only undefeated deck going into the final round. They didn't hit their energy like they needed to, so we were able to take it down. Likely, I think that's a top 4, which will give me some CP, which is championship points, which is cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a Worlds invite with obviously playing disc golf for a living, but just cool to show up, play well, and meet some new people, play some games. Feels really cool. I don't know, felt a lot of nerves, but I think that's a good thing, and hopefully that's will subside over time. So see how it plays out. I'm going to show you guys the deck list and talk about a couple techs when we get back to the house. Let's go. It's the next day after the league challenge. I had a great time. I got to go spend some time with Tina at a Plantapalooza thing, just a nice little plant gathering where she was able to sell some stuff. Talked between rounds, and a couple key notes that I think really, really stand out for me was I didn't panic, and I just tried to play the games and really put myself in positions to at least have a chance in every single one. Still learning a lot of the lines of the deck, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about Blastoise and why I think it is a, borderline, tier 2 deck. Being able to make use of this awesome 151 Pokemon was very fun. Obviously, I am biased. I am a huge Blastoise fan. Got the deck we played right here, and you'll see the deck list on screen right now. You can take a look. We'll have a description and a link below if you want to copy it and give it a go yourself. The deck needs to be able to find energy, especially to make use of Palkia's attack. We don't have anything like Chen Pao that allows us to really accelerate that energy out of the deck. So you're having to use trainer cards and other ways to kind of help make that happen. Originally, I was playing the Bibarel line, and I really wanted to try something different because when Bibarel whiffs, it hurts. But the card advantage you get from a card like Bibarel is really, really good. So you can really kind of start to play your deck to really just draw through it a ton. But we decided to go the Pidgeot route, which allowed us to really search things up. But we had to really kind of adjust how we built it. So we weren't on trying to get cards out of our hands. We were trying to keep a decent hand size, since we weren't just trying to just toss all the excess cards. That tends to help in allowing the deck to kind of just function and work. So it went down on the superior energy retrieval since we're not trying to pitch as many cards. Went up in the energy count to 12. A lot of lists that I had been studying had been running 10. And I felt 12 was a decent number with the energy search and the letter of encouragement. Big thanks to Tyler and Jordan for pushing me towards that card. I was very against it early on, but when it's good, it is incredible being able to pitch a card to Radiant Greninja and attach and still have an energy to do an attack with Blastoise can be pretty insane. Running one regular energy retrieval, so we can just grab that without, if we have a low hand size, say early on in the game, to get that and get it to an attack off with Blastoise. The gameplay really functions a lot around getting set up, but then not overbenching. You can land yourself in a place where you want to overbench because of Palkia does a lot of damage. You only go for those plays. You're really trying to take out, the Chen Paos of the world with 220. So you can rely on their bench doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that, and you can just bench enough. A lot of games I end up with a Palkia, a Blastoise, a Pidgeot, and a Greninja being the only cards that I have on the board. Setting up a second Blastoise can be very, very strong to help you close out a game. So you can let your first one take a couple hits as you take some KOs, and then really kind of have that second one to close out the game. You also really want to function with that Palkia to be the early game threat it can be, since it's such an efficient attacker with that 2 energy and being able to KO a lot of Pokemon, reaching 260 damage if you have a full bench, and they do as well. You can always go for the early Greninja plays, but I think that has left me in a place where I have recovered to reset up after an early Greninja turn. You need to be able to kind of have a line of being able to get an attack off, not necessarily the next turn after you Greninja, but the following one. You have to be attacking. And if you don't see that line, maybe you shouldn't go for the Greninja play and just hold off and save that play for later. It's generally still going to be an option, so don't rush into it if you don't have to. In my first game against Miraidon, I maybe went for it, but I was already behind and had a slow start, so it felt like the best play. But Miraidon is so efficient out the gate, and again, it having the weakness against our deck in every single card, that is a matchup that we are going to work on, and we will talk about here in a little bit. As we continue forward with this deck, I'm hopefully going to do a more detailed deck profile with some gameplay. Paradox Rift will add a great card in Earthen Vessel that allows us to kind of get more energy out of the deck. Maybe we drop the energy search and may not need the letter of encouragement, just because we're going to have that more efficient pull to energy out of the deck for just pitching one card. Not many other key notes other than playing the Audizon as a great option to be a stadium bump, plus the Lost Vacuum. That helps us get set up. Oftentimes, I've found myself not really needing it sometimes, but as a stadium option, that is where I'm leaning currently. I think I do really want to try and find a place to put in a card like Pokemon League Headquarters. I do think that card helps our worst matchup, since our attackers outside of Radiant Greninja are going to be attacking, with no penalty from Pokemon League Headquarters, where our hard matchups like Miraidon being one of them, and Lost Box being another, or any Lost Zone variant for the most part outside of Giratina, they struggle with that card. Mirage Gate only being able to put 2 energy on, it forces it to be more awkward for them. And that awkwardness can help us really kind of stabilize and get into the game and take the right type of KOs that we're looking for. Maybe Earthen Vessel helps in opening up some slots, since we might be able to cut back on the sheer amount of energy we have in the deck. So we could maybe find the slots there. But since that is a very efficient way to search out a ton of energy, I can keep talking about the future cards, but we should talk about the now cards, because we are still going to have a few more weeks of this format. And that's just a small touch on how I'm feeling about the deck and what the decisions I made to kind of put some cards in there. Oh, one key note: Super Rod. Super Rod is in the deck as a we don't play Manaphy. It's greedy. It's incredibly greedy. But being that we're kind of a Palkia deck that uses Blastoise to close out games and has the Pidgeot engine, we can just ride Palkia for a little bit, and that allows us to super rod some stuff back in, get everything going. Maybe and we play the 3-3 line, and we have the 2-2 line of Pidgeot, the 3-3 line of Blastoise, 2-2 line of Pidgeot, that does allow us to kind of shift it up a little bit and make sure that even if we do lose a Pidgey and a Squirtle to a Greninja, well, we probably have more in the deck, and we're not rushing since our Palkia is going to do the heavy lifting. And then we can just kind of slowly work ourselves back into the game. And most of the time, we're probably taking out their Greninja, which slows them down as well, since they won't have that efficient draw power from that card. That is something that I've really considered, and the Super Rod has felt like a must include since we're not playing the Manaphy. It is risky. There is a part of me that wants to find a place for a Manaphy and soon to be Jirachi, obviously more future cards. But right now, I feel really good about where it's at since we are not really too worried about those getting knocked out. We can function solely on Palkia doing everything. It's such a great card and quickly became one of my favorite cards once I started getting into the Pokemon trading card game. The supporters are one that I feel very strongly about. And we'll touch on that. So we're running 2 Iono, which I've seen a lot of lists run 4, which if you're very worried about the disruption element, we'll want to play 4. And that really does help. But if we are ever ahead, Iono doesn't feel great. So I want to see it when I need it. Playing it, I played a Tinkatonk deck that Iono was amazing because it, diminishes their hands, and now their main attacker really doesn't do anything. So that's a big part of having the Iono. But I also don't always want to see it. So being able to search it off of Pidgeot is great, but having the 2 feels like a great place to be. The big part that I feel strongly about is the 3 bosses orders. I've even thought about going up to 4, but with a new card, counter catcher, I don't think we will need to go up to 4. We'll probably even maybe drop down to 2 with some counter catchers in the deck, since we can search those off of Irida and Pidgeot. And that allows us to kind of play a little bit differently. But the 3 bosses orders function simply because we can boss 2-prizer. Boss, kill a 2-prizer, boss, kill a 2-prizer, and win the game. Also, it allows us with the 3rd one to essentially boss install them. If they have a Pokemon like a Bibarel or something or a Flaffy that has a heavy retreat cost, we can lock it in the active while that allows us to catch up. So there are a lot of times where you can use the boss's orders defensively, not always offensively. And that has really helped win plenty of games. And obviously the 4 Irida is a must because that card is absolutely insane right now in any deck that is playing, water Pokemon and high counts of trainer cards, and item cards. So the rest of the list feels very, very good. I won't claim to be, insanely knowledgeable Pokemon deck builder, but taking inspiration from someone like Azul GG to help get this list to where it is and kind of give my little tweaks on it, and and able to pilot it to a decent finish. And that feels really, really good, especially when I played Chen Pao and kind of didn't really get off the ground ever. So that was a strong feeling. And played some really, really meta relevant decks in Miraidon, Boss Kyogre, and Gardevoir. So it was fun. And I'm really looking forward to more challenges, going to regionals and league cups and everything when they present themselves. So we'll definitely dive into more of that. This is a lot longer than I thought it would be, but hey, this is great information. And be on the lookout for a Blastoise deck tech. And maybe we'll wait until we have the Paradox Rift cards to do that one. I think that'll be quite fun. We do have a lot more content coming up. There'll be more vlogs and everything that's going to be very, very fun. So make sure you guys are going to follow Pokemon Menace. We're going to be collaborating on content here very soon. And we are going to be doing a giveaway as a kind of kickoff to the channels, this being one of the early videos. So that giveaway is going to be, I'm going to help the winner choose a deck that they currently don't have and build it through TCG Player or through some of my own cards or whatever to help them build the deck and have that in person. We'll obviously won't go for the most expensive, crazy deck. We'll have some type of limit on it, but we will do our best to help that happen so that gets them a cool deck that they want to play in person and can go straight to a league or something like that and have something to play. So that feels really cool as I'm trying to grasp and get the game to more new players, and I think that that'll be really, really fun. I mean, we can give you a booster box, you can do all that stuff, but we could take whatever that money costs and give you a deck to play and get right into it. So that'll be great. We'll also be doing tons of code card giveaways and other random giveaways randomly and throughout the future. So make sure you're following all the social medias for the Poke Oakley channels, and make sure you're in the Discord. We're going to be doing plenty down there as well. Yeah, this is awesome. This is still very new to me, but I'm doing my best to bring you all some great content, and I hope you enjoy. And if there's anything that you would like to see more from me in general, let me know in the comments down below. I think it would be a great place to kind of collaborate and make something really cool happen. Thank you, Blastoise, for carrying us to our first championship points and to our first, solid finish at an event. And hopefully it'll be many more. And as we kind of continue to explore new decks, we can find more ways to get those higher up finishes, which will be really, really cool. Thanks everyone for watching. Stay awesome.